Krishna
Four
Hare Hare
lines.
Krishna Krishna Krishna
We are
Krishna
going to
Hare
start.
Hare.
So we are
Sorry,
going to.
Prabhu. We're not able to hear you properly.
Oh, sorry.
Mm,
Is it
okay.
better?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so we are going to continue with our Bhagavatam reading and discussion if there is any. So this is Canto 4, Chapter 22, verse 52, Prthu Maharaj meeting with the Four Kumaras. Let's see what he says. Let me invite others. Maybe. Just 1 minute. Maharaj. Always twice.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Okay. Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as a householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. So he was a grihastha and he remained at home, but he was not engaged in sense gratification. Everything he had, he was using for the service of the Lord. Just like the sun, even if it goes on a filthy place, it is now not affected by it, it remains pure. The word griheshu is significant in this verse. Out of the four ashramas, the brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, only grihastha or householder is allowed to associate with women. Therefore, the grihastha ashram is a kind of license for sense gratification given to the devotee. Prthu Maharaj was special in that, although he was given license to remain a householder, and although he possessed immense opulences in his kingdom, he never engaged in sense gratification. This was a special sign that indicated him to be a pure devotee of the Lord. So, having all the facilities for sense gratification, he never engaged in sense gratification. So, this shows that he was a pure devotee of the Lord, as Prabhupada is saying here. A pure devotee is never attracted by sense gratification and consequently is liberated. In material life, a person engages in sense gratification for his own personal satisfaction, but in devotional or liberated life, one aims to satisfy the senses of the Lord. So we say the difference between lust and love is that, what is the verse?
आत्मा इंद्रिय प्रीति आत्मा इंद्रिय प्रीति वांछा तारे भली काम कृष्ण इंद्रिय प्रीति इच्छा धरे प्रेम नाम.
The desire to gratify one's own senses is called lust, and the desire to gratify Krishna's senses is called love. So, uh, in our conditioned consciousness, we engage for our sense gratification. But that is why there is the Grihastha ashram is there. Prabhupada says it's a kind of a license for sense gratification given to the devotee. And that sense gratification can be used for the procreation of children. Of course, Prabhupada says it is not, sex life is not meant for sense gratification. It is only meant for procreation of children. It is with this aim that one engages in, lust, which is not contrary to religious principles. It is only for the purpose of having a child. So that is also in that way, it's not sense gratification. So they are also called Grihastha Brahmachari, who only want to bring about children. So they are also brahmacharis because they are not interested in sense gratification. And then at certain point, they stop sense gratification completely, and they become detached and they engage fully in the service of the Lord. In this verse, Maharaj Prthu is likened to the sun, Arkavat. Yeah, comments.
And Prabhupada says also they perform Garbhadan Sanskar. They have to chant 50 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra. So that they have a devotee child because their consciousness is pure. Although they want to have a child, but if their consciousness is corrupted, then it's lust only.
So, yeah, you prepare your consciousness for, so that's why a good child is born and like that. And then you have to guide your child out of the cycle of birth and death, help them to become a devotee of the Lord. Of course, Kalakanda Prabhu was saying that you cannot force the child, but you can provide an environment for the child. I think Prabhupada says 0 to 5 years you can be you can be liberal with the child. 5 to 15 you have to be very strict, and then after that you become a friend of the child. So like that. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said, I can produce hundreds of children, provided I can make them Krishna conscious. But he never did any. So, but if children can be made Krishna conscious, that's very nice. In this verse, Maharaj Prthu is likened to the sun, Arkavat. Sometimes the sun shines on stool, urine, and so many other polluted things. But since the sun is all powerful, it is never affected by polluted things with which it associates. So those who are pure devotees, even they associated with contaminated people, they don't become contaminated. Just as the sun does not become contaminated, even if it evaporates urine from a dirty place. So in the same way, the pure devotee purifies everybody, but himself or herself does not become contaminated. On the contrary, the sunshine sterilizes and purifies polluted and dirty places. Like Prabhupada was associating with so many hippies who were breaking the 4 regulative principles, but Prabhupada never got affected by anything. Instead, they became purified. So that's the position of a pure devotee. Similarly, a devotee may engage in so many material activities, but because he has no desire for sense gratification, they never affect him. On the contrary, he dovetails all material activities for the service of the Lord. Since a pure devotee knows how to utilize everything for the Lord's service, he is never affected by material activities. Instead, by his transcendental plans, he purifies such activities. This is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam, Tatparatvena Nirmalam. His aim is to become completely purified in the service of the Lord without being affected by material designations. So when we do devotional service or ideally we should always be in the consciousness that I am a spirit soul, I am not this body, and I am in this body and just moving along for a few years in this body before I abandon this body to take another body. So like that, this kind of transmigration has been going on since millions of years. I've been changing one body after another. It is said that if you stack up all the bodies that you have been in, that the soul, that I, the soul, has been in so many bodies. If you stack up them, one on means you, if you put them on one top of one another, it will go to the heaven, something like that. They said, right? Is it in the Bhagavatam? That if you stack up all the bodies, then it will. Maybe it's not there, but somebody was saying that it will go up to the heaven. That so many bodies we have taken up. It's not there, right, in the Bhagavatam.
No, I think there was a story with Dhruva Maharaj or something, and he was seeing a mountain, and maybe Narad Muni said, this mountain is all the bones of all the bodies that you have acquired in your previous lifetime.
Yes. Great, nice.
It was, yeah, I'll find out. I've heard it.
So we have been in so many bodies, 8,400,000 species of life, and not one time, multiple times we got. Maybe we got human life, then we again went back in animal life, then again we came to human life, then again we went back, then we went into the body of Mahavishnu, then again we were, you know, again we took birth, then again we went back. So like that, millions of years of transmigration. That's why we are called Nitya Baddha. Nitya Baddha means eternally, conditioned. We have been in this material world for too long, billions of years. So now is again Krishna, by Krishna's grace, again there is a window of opportunity to make progress on the spiritual path. So if you have to get out of the prison, why not get out sooner than later, right? Why we want to prolong our stay in this? That was Prabhupada's point. That don't wait for another life. Try to finish your business in this one life. Why are you waiting for another life? If you have to go back home, back to Godhead, then do it sooner than later. Why procrastinate? We say, Shubhasya Shighram. Shubhasya Shighram means what is auspicious should be done very quickly, immediately. So, to engage in Krishna consciousness, to chant Hare Krishna, and to remember Krishna, this should be done immediately, because this is what will change our consciousness. Ultimately, all these things are to change, become Krishna conscious. So we want to change our consciousness. So why delay? Because if we delay, then we'll get another body in this material existence. And every body, whichever body you get, means all problems only. So Krishna is inviting us. Yesterday, Kalaganda Prabhu was saying that there is a world where there is unending happiness and there is no birth, death, old age, disease, and all these obstacles. Krishna is inviting us to that world. So he is putting obstacles on our path in this world so that we think about that world and we plan to go to that world, knowing that this is not working out here. I've tried to enjoy independently, but it's not working. Okay, so in this verse Maharaj Prthu is likened to the sun, Arkavat. Okay, we read this. Similarly, a devotee. Okay, we read that. So next verse. Evam adhyatma yogena karmanya anusamacharan putran utpadayam asa pancharishya atma sammatan. Being situated in liberated position of devotional service, Prthu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities, but also begot 5 sons by his wife, Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. So this is what Prabhupada is talking about, Garbhadan Sanskar here. So he had 5 sons, and we may say, well, here it is said that he was not engaged in gratification of senses. So he was not engaged in gratification of senses, but only for producing children to make them Krishna conscious. As a householder, Prthu Maharaj had 5 sons by his wife, Archi, and all these sons were begotten as he desired them. They were not born whimsically or by accident. How can one can beget children according to one's desire is practically unknown in the present age, Kali Yuga. In this regard, the secret of success depends on parents' acceptance of various purificatory methods known as sanskaras. The first sanskara, the Garbhadan sanskar or child begetting sanskar, is compulsory, especially for the higher castes, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, sex life which is not against the religious principles is Krishna himself. And according to religious principles, when one wants to beget a child, he must perform the Garbhadan sanskar before having sex. The mental state of the father and mother before sex will certainly affect the mentality of the child to be begotten. A child who is begotten out of lust may not turn out as the parents desire. As stated in Shastras, Yatha Yoni Yatha Bijam. Yatha Yoni indicates the mother and father, and Yatha Bijam indicates the father. If the mental state of the parents is prepared before they have sex, the child which they will beget will certainly reflect their mental condition. It is therefore understood by the words Atma Sammatan that both Prthu Maharaj and Archi went the Garbhadan purificatory process before getting children, and thus they begot all their sons according to their desires and purified mental states. Prthu Maharaj did not beget children out of lust, nor was he attracted to his wife for sense gratificatory purposes. He begot the children as a grihastha for future administration of his government all over the world. So, yeah, the Garbhadan sanskar is to chant Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada says 50 rounds like that. So, the mentality of the parents attracts a certain kind of child to the womb and a soul to the womb. So, if it is done in a like that's how we hear about Prahlad Maharaj, right? Prahlad Maharaj. Of course, Hiranyakashipu was not in very good consciousness, but despite that, he chanted the mantra Om Namo Narayan. He was telling what happened because his wife asked, "Why did you come back so soon?" So he said, "Oh, I was doing tapasya, and then these two birds came, Narad Muni and I think Parvat Muni, and they were chanting this mantra Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayana, and that's when he conceived Prahlad. It's how it's described, of course. But sometimes we find that even in demon family, devotee children are born. So Prahlad Maharaj is a good example. So okay, the next verse. After begetting 5 sons named Vijitashva, Dhumrakesh, Haryaksha, Dravina, and Vrika, Prthu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets. In each and every planet, there is a predominating deity. So there is somebody in charge. Like in every country, there is a president or somebody at the top, prime minister, president, whatever you call it. So similarly, for every planet, there is a person in charge. It is understood from Bhagavad Gita that in the sun, there is a predominating deity named Vivashwan. Similarly, there is a predominating deity of the moon and of the various planets. Actually, the predominating deities in all other planets are descendants from the predominating deities of the sun and moon. So there is Surya Vansha and Chandra Vansha, as Prabhupada will say. On this planet Earth, there are two Kshatriya dynasties. One comes from the predominating deity of the sun, another comes from the predominating deity of the moon. These dynasties are known as Surya Vansha and Chandra Vansha. Krishna appeared in the Chandra Vansha and Ramchandra appeared in Surya Vansha. When monarchy existed on this planet, the chief members was one of the members of the Surya dynasty or Surya Vansha, and the subordinate kings belonged to the Chandra Vansha. However, Maharaj Prthu was so powerful that he could exhibit all the qualities of the predominating deities in other planets. In the modern age, people from Earth have tried to go to the moon, but they have not been able to find anyone there. What to speak of meeting the moon's predominating deity? So there is a Chandra, we say Chandra. In astrological charts also we say your moon is in this, your moon is in that. Means when you were born, the moon was in a certain position like that. So the Vedic literature, however, repeatedly informs us that moon is full of highly elevated inhabitants who are counted amongst the demigods. So we may not believe this, that there is life on moon, and as Prabhupada says here, moon is full of highly elevated inhabitants who are counted amongst the demigods. So their moon is a heavenly like planet. or whatever you call it now in modern terminology, planet, sun, star, whatever. But yeah, so moon is a celestial object, which is a heavenly object. Means you cannot go to the moon unless you have pious activities. So, so that's why, whether they went to the moon or not, Prabhupada was not accepting that, because we are. So Prabhupada is saying modern age people have tried to go to the moon, but they have not been able to find anyone there. What to speak of moons predominating? So of course on earth also there is Bhumi Devi. We have not seen Bhumi Devi. We are therefore always in doubt about what kind of moon adventure the modern scientists of this planet Earth have undertaken. So, another way Prabhupada says, if you land in the Sahara Desert on Earth, right, you will not see anybody around, and you may conclude that there is no population on Earth because you went to the wrong place. So that may be, but Prabhupada did not accept that. This gone to the moon or something like that. Of course, it may be very revolutionary to say like that when all the modern science and everybody believes it. And so, but irrespective of whether we went or not, we are going to die. So, even if you go to the moon or wherever you go, our life is going to end. Neil Armstrong already departed, right? He already died. He was the first person to put his foot on the moon. But so no matter where you go, Mars or moon or wherever you go, you are not going to live beyond a few years. So we have to think about our next life, and we are the soul. That much at least we can admit, that we are going from one life to the next. So we are the soul, and there is God. So, so Prabhupada would not, he would say these are all childish activities to go out, explore the space. But while the problems still remain, you have distracted yourself from the solving the real problem of life. And so, whole modern life is a distraction from understanding who we are, why am I here, what is the purpose of life, what is my relationship with God. And we take on so many other so-called duties, right? So Prabhupada writes a nice statement. Modern civilization is a patchwork of activities to forget the perpetual miseries of material existence. So while we don't make a solution to the real problems, we are engaged in so many other things. Like we are thinking, now if I'll build a house, now I'll get this, I'll get. That's okay, as long as it helps to become Krishna conscious. But otherwise, it is so many distractions. And the real problems of life, birth, death, old age, disease, we are not doing anything to solve the problems, but we have put them on the side. So those problems can be solved. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamiti. So Arjuna. Those problems can be solved if we understand Krishna in truth. And by understanding Krishna in truth, we can surrender to Him, and the problems can be solved. So this is all distraction on the path of bhakti. And that is how we get Sanat Kumar in this chapter only. He says the biggest obstacle to self-realization is to think other things to be more important and pleasing than self-realization. To think that other things are going to give me more happiness. And so we put aside our real. Actually, this process is very joyful. Susukham kartum apyayam. Krishna is saying this whole Krishna consciousness. But we have put aside this. Not you all, but I'm saying in general, the general mass of people. They're not interested in this, and they are interested in so many other things. But it will only, it will not solve the problem. It will just take them from one body to the next. And if we do all this meat eating and all these things, it will just take us into various species of life, different species of life, and we'll continue to, be in ignorance and suffer. So this is a great blessing that we got this knowledge, and we got this. So now we have to accept this knowledge and then practice it and purify our consciousness and go back home, back to God, and help others who don't have this knowledge to share this knowledge with others. Of course, not everybody is going to accept it because more people are interested in this world than in that spiritual world. So, and because there is also lack of faith, and we don't have that much faith that spiritual world exists. All we know is this world. So, but this world, as we can see, it is a difficult place, and our body and all these things, we can see how it's going to give us so much trouble, as every body gives. So, the intelligent person wants to think. Yes, he wants to know: is there a solution to this? Of course, there is no material solution. There is only spiritual solution. Okay. गोपीथया जगत सृष्टे कले स्वे स्वे अच्युतात्मकः मनोवाग्वृत्तिभिः सौम्यैर् गुणैः samranjayan prajaha. Since Maharaj Prthu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prthu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior. So, not that he would be satisfying their desires which are not helping them come closer towards God, not like that, but he was kind to all his citizens and he would satisfy all the desires, he would give them guidance. As will be explained in the next verse, Prthu Maharaj used to please all kinds of citizens by his extraordinary capacity to understand the mentality of others. Just like a mother will not give, the child says, I want the knife, I want the knife. So, to please the child, the mother should not give the knife, right? So, Prthu Maharaj being Saktavesh avatar, he took care of his citizens, to also protected them. Indeed, his dealings were so perfect that every one of the citizens was very much satisfied and lived in complete peace. The word Achyuta Atmakaha is significant in this verse. For Maharaj Prthu used to rule this planet as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew that he was the representative of the Lord and that the Lord's creation must be protected intelligently. Atheists cannot understand the purpose behind the creation. So why this huge material creation? Can anybody say what is the reason? They will say, oh, it just happened by chance. But that does not sound like very logical. For everything there is a reason. And when there is an orderly arrangement, when there is, symmetry and order, then obviously there is some purpose behind it. It just didn't happen for no reason. So although this material world is condemned, when it is compared to the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. It is to rehabilitate. It's a correction facility. Like yesterday also. It's to rehabilitate all the conditioned souls like us who have come here in this material world. It's a rehab center. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in the existence of a creator. So there is no soul, there is no God, nothing. It's all matter which just, produce life. There is nothing beyond this. That does not make appeal, right? That one day our existence will be finished completely. We'll just cease to exist. That's it. No more after this. So that's not we want, because we want to be alive forever. We want to live forever. And that desire is coming because we are the soul. And the soul lives forever. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research, but they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. So those who want to enjoy forgetting God, for them, this facility is given. And at the same time, also to rehabilitate them. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment, as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness, so that they all can ultimately return home back to Godhead. So, satisfy them in their sense enjoyment means, according to um, the Varnashram, you are allowed to indulge in your, some restricted sense gratification and then ultimately become detached. With this idea in mind, the king or government head should rule the world. In this way, everyone will be satisfied. How can this be accomplished? There are many examples like Prthu Maharaj, and the history of his regency on this planet is elaborately described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even in this fallen age, if rulers, governors, and presidents take advantage of Prthu Maharaj's example, there will be certainly a reign of peace and prosperity throughout the world. So, okay. Any comments on this verse? Anybody has? We'll read another verse. राजेत्यधान नामध्येयम् सोमराजा इवापरः सूर्यवद विसृजान गृह्णान प्रतपांश्च भुवो वसु. Maharaj Prthu became celebrated as king, became as celebrated a king as Somraj, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light, and at the same time exacts all planetary waters. Okay, so he was like the moon. In this verse, Maharaj Prthu is compared to the kings of the moon and sun. The king of the moon and the king of the sun serve as examples of how the Lord desires the universe to be ruled. The sun distributes heat and light and at the same time extracts water from all the planets. The moon is very pleasing at night, and when one becomes fatigued after a day's labor in the sun, he can enjoy the moonshine. Like the sun god, Prthu Maharaj distributed his heat and light to give protection to his kingdom. For without heat and light, no one can exist. Similarly, Prthu Maharaj exacted taxes and gave such strong orders to the citizens and government that no one had the power to disobey him. On the other hand, he pleased everyone just like the moonshine. So he was a very stern ruler also, and a very kind at the same time. On the other hand, he pleased everyone just like the moonshine. Both the sun and moon have particular influences by which they maintain order in the universe, and modern scientists and philosophers should become familiar with the Supreme Lord's perfect plan for universal maintenance. Okay. Next, this is all describing the qualities of Prthu Maharaj. Durdharshas tejas sevagnir Mahindra iva durjaya titikshaya dharitriva dyor iva bhishata do nrinam. Maharaj Prthu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra. Earlier he was compared to Somraj, the king of moon planet, the king of heaven whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prthu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. It is the duty of a king to give protection to the citizens and to fulfill their desires. At the same time, the citizens must obey the laws of the state. Maharaj Prthu maintained all standards of good government, and he was so invincible that no one could disobey his orders any more than a person could stop heat and light emanating from a fire. If there is a fire, you cannot say, I don't want heat, I don't want light. It is impossible. Similarly, to disobey Maharaj Prthu was impossible. He was so strong and powerful that he was compared to the king of heaven, Indra. In this age, modern scientists have been experimenting with nuclear weapons, and in a former age, they used to release Brahmastras. But all these Brahmastras and nuclear weapons are insignificant compared to the thunderbolt of the king of heaven. So Indra's Vajra is more powerful than a nuclear bomb. When Indra releases a thunderbolt, even the biggest hills and mountains crack. On the other hand, Maharaj Prthu was as tolerant as the earth itself, and he fulfilled all the desires of his citizens, just like torrents of rain from the sky. Without rainfall, it is not possible to fulfill one's various desires on this planet. Without rain, you cannot have any grains, and without grains, nobody can sustain. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3:14, Parjanyat anna sambhava. Food grains are produced only because rains fall from the sky. And without grains, no one on the earth can be satisfied. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava. So annat bhavanti bhutani means all living entities subsist on grains, and grains are produced by parjanya. Parjanya is rain. Parjanyad anna sambhava. Sambhava means possible. Production sambhav. We say like in Hindi, sambhav. Ye sambhav hai, ye sambhav hai. So sambhava is possible or produced. Yagnat bhavati parjanyo. And how does parjanya, rain, come from? Rain comes from performance of yagna. Yagna karma samudbhava. Yagna is born of prescribed duties. So we do our prescribed duties. The ultimate duty is to serve Krishna. So if you serve Krishna, then all the rains, that is yagna, especially the chanting of the holy name. And then that is yagna, by performance of yagna, rains will come, and rains will produce grains, and you will get strength. And with that strength, you again engage in yagna, means you again serve Krishna. So it's a cycle like that. Maharaj Prthu distributed his mercy incessantly, much like rainfall. In other words, Maharaj Prthu was softer than a rose flower and harder than a thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled over his kingdom. Okay. Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Maharaj Prthu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose. So he was such a great personality. Maharaj Prthu used to distribute his mercy to suffering humanity, and it was like rainfall after excessive heat. The ocean is wide and expansive, and it is very difficult to measure its length and breadth. Similarly, Prthu Maharaj was so deep and grave that no one could fathom its purposes. So he was like as vast as an ocean, means he was so deep and he was so strong. The hill known as Meru is fixed in the universe as universal pivot, and no one can move it an inch from its position. Similarly, no one could ever dissuade Maharaj Prthu when he was determined. Just like it is said that our determination to go back home, back to Godhead, to serve Krishna, should be like Maharaj Prthu or Dhruva Maharaj, that nothing can stop. They have fixed their goal on serving Krishna. So nothing can distract Dhruva Maharaj or Rukmini. Rukmini's determination was also, or Prahlad Maharaj also, you can say, his determination, or Haridas Thakur's determination to chant the holy name. So these are all examples of great determination. So on the path of bhakti, we have to become determined. Prabhupada tells the story of the sparrow whose eggs were stolen by the ocean, and she was so determined to get back her eggs that she started an impossible task of emptying the ocean by picking a drop from the ocean with her beak, and then seeing her very, very, very stern and very strong determination, Garuda came. So, so we want to go back home, back to Godhead. So, and that determination comes when also we realize that I have had many bad experiences in this material world. I'm done with it. I don't want to again do anything which will again give me further bad experiences. And we have seen other people having bad experiences. So like that, we can be determined, and determination also comes by associating with those who are determined. And determination is not external, it's internal also. It's basically to change our desires and our whatever we have. So knowing that all these things, all these desires which are not conducive, which will not give me any happiness, it will just keep me in the cycle of birth and death and will distract me from serving Krishna. So like that we have to think about it. And become more and more. No matter where we are at, we can always try. Like they say, at least one Maha Mantra you can chant with great focus and determination. That I will chant this mantra very nicely. Then you take that determination. So it's not like full life we can be determined, but at least for the 2 hours that we are chanting, we can say, okay, for these 2 hours I'll be very determined. I will chant with very great attention. And so then after that, then we have more time. So we can say, now what I will do something that will. So in this way, our quality of service also will improve and things like that. And we have to forget the past and just move on with what today is there, because past you can't change. The time has gone. Of course, if you have offended somebody like that, so we should beg forgiveness. But we have to move on with our. And now we have the time which is coming up today, tomorrow, if we live all, then this time how I can use. So any even if you do 1 hour of sincere devotional service, that can save us from so many things. So Krishna has given us so many hours. Like in our life, there are how many days? So many days, so many hours, so many minutes, so many seconds. So, like Khatvanga Maharaj, he surrendered in one, what is that, one Murat, like that. He's surrendered in the last. So every moment is like an opportunity to serve and remember Krishna. Okay. And sometimes what happens, a whole life passes, and then we were thinking, oh, I did not even become like, I should have been done this so much better, So many days, so many years, so many months passed, but so like that. So right now is the time, and so okay. So the next verse, and we'll end with this. Maharaj Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. Yamaraj is very intelligent, so his intelligence was like that. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountain, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. Because Yamaraj is a Mahajan, that's why he's very intelligent. He possessed great riches like Kuber, the treasure of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas. Yamraj or Dharmaraj, as the superintendent of death, has to judge the criminal living entities who have committed sinful activities throughout their lives. Consequently, Yamraj is expected to be most expert in judicial matters. And that is why he was cursed. Because as Manduk Muni, right? Manduk Muni, who was as a young boy. There's a Manduk Muni. What is the name of that Muni? Who, huh?
Right. Yeah, was it?
Yeah, so Manduk Muni was like kind of, what did he do? He,
He cursed Nimraj.
yeah. Why he cursed Yamaraj? Because Yamaraj punished him. Because as a child, he had pierced an ant with a stick or something. And so,
And that the thieves that were hiding in the streets
yeah, the thieves came, and then he was taken to
arrested
be
him.
executed. And then when he went to
Then he
Yamaraj,
asked why did he suffer through that, and then he said because when you were a child,
hmm,
you were putting some like sharp thing on the ants or some insect.
hmm. So that's why you have to go through this. So this Muni, as a small child, he had like tried to kill an ant or disturb, and so because of that, what happened one time? The king's soldiers were chasing some thieves, and these thieves came and hid in the ashram of this Muni. And so the thieves were thinking they caught the soldiers caught the thieves, and they also caught this Muni. And then they thought Muni is also an accomplice of these thieves because they have hidden, and then he was about to be executed. And at the last moment, they realized, no, 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 he has nothing to do with this. And he was spared, but he had to go through that whole anxiety. So he went to Yamaraj and he asked, why did I have to go through all this? And he said, oh, because as a young child you tried to kill an ant, and then this Muni got very angry and he cursed Yamaraj and he became Vidura. But it was also Prabhupada writes, Yamaraj wanted to preach. He's always, dealing with all these sinful activities of people, punishing them. But as a Mahajan, he actually wants to preach the glories of the Lord. So it was also an arrangement of the Lord so that Yamraj could come as Vidura. And Vidura, then he preached. He was preaching to Duryodhan and so many. Dhritarashtra also he preached. He traveled to holy places and things like that. So that is how it is. And when Yamraj came as Vidura, then there was this demigod, Aryama, right? He became the Yamaraj and he was officiating on behalf of Yamaraj because he was no longer in his office. He had become Vidura. So that is how it is described. So Prthu Maharaj was also highly learned and exceedingly exact in delivering his judgment upon the citizens. No one could excel him in opulence any more than estimate the stock of minerals and dwell in the Himalaya mountains. Therefore, he is compared to Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets. Nor could anyone discover the secrets of his life any more than learn the secrets of Varuna, the demigod presiding over the water at night. Water, the night and the western sky. Varuna is omniscient, and since he punishes sins, he is prayed to for forgiveness. He is also the center of disease and is often associated with Mitra and Indra. Okay, so these are all qualities of Prthu Maharaj. So we'll continue tomorrow. So we'll read Krishna book, Pastimes of Supreme Lord. Okay. The battle between Shalva and members of the Yadu dynasty. That's where we will read. We'll read from here.
While Shukdev Goswami was narrating various activities of Lord Krishna in playing the role of an ordinary human being, he also narrated the history of the battle between the dynasty of Yadu and a demon of the name Shalva, who had managed to possess a wonderful airship named Sobha. King Shalva was a great friend of Shishupal's. When Shishupal went to marry Rukmini, Shalva was one of the members of the bridegroom's party. In the fight between the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty and the kings of the opposite side, Shalva was defeated by the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty. But despite his defeat, he made a promise before all the kings that he would in the future rid the whole world of all the members of the Yadu dynasty. Since his defeat in the fight during the marriage of Rukmini, he had maintained within himself an unforgettable envy of Lord Krishna, and he was in fact a fool because he had promised to kill Krishna. Usually such foolish demons take shelter of the demigod like Lord Shiva to execute their ulterior plans, and so in order to get strength, Shalva took refuge at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. He underwent a severe type of austerity during which he would eat no more than a handful of ashes daily. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, is generally very merciful and he is very quickly satisfied if someone undertakes severe austerities to please him. So, after continued austerities by Shalva for 1 year, Lord Shiva became pleased with him and asked him to beg for the fulfillment of his desire. Shalva begged from Lord Shiva the gift of an airplane which would be so strong that it could not be destroyed by any demigod, demon, human being, Gandharva, or Naga, or even any Rakshasa. Moreover, he desired that the airplane be able to fly anywhere and everywhere he would like to pilot it and be specifically very dangerous and fearful to the dynasty of the Yadus. Lord Shiva immediately agreed to give him the benediction, and Shalva took the help of the demon Maya to manufacture this iron airplane which was so strong and formidable that no one could crash it. It was a very big machine, almost like a big city, and it could fly so high and at such a great speed that it was almost impossible to see. So there was no question of attacking it. It appeared to be almost covered with darkness, yet the pilot could fly it anywhere and everywhere. Having acquired such a wonderful airplane, Shalva flew it to the city of Dwarka because his main purpose in obtaining the airplane was to attack the city of the Yadus, toward whom he maintained a constant feeling of animosity. So when he was defeated at the time in Rukmani's marriage, he took a he became very envious of Krishna and he worshipped Lord Shiva to get this airplane.
And what was his austerity that he was doing?
He was eating once a day. He was eating some handful of ashes.
Can anybody do that austerity? Nobody can do such austerity.
Yeah, even Hiranyakashipu was doing such great austerity, and his body was turned into ant hill, like covered by ant hill. He was practically bones. How they have so much determination, but
Yes, if the same determination serve Krishna, then likewise.
yeah, just like how people have determination for sense gratification,
Hmm.
because they're working very hard day and night, and mm, even for their careers and other things, they work hard. They have determination, but wrongly directed.
Yeah, like Chintamani told
Yeah,
Vedanandal Thakur.
correct. I was thinking the same thing. He also had determination for sense gratification, and she said, if you had such determination for worshipping Lord Hari, you would be such a great devotee.
Yeah, we go through so much in this material world to establish a nice situation. So much hard work. Anyhow, so next.
But he was so envious to Krishna. That's why he took, I mean,
Mhm.
on purpose to fulfill and negative determination.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, everything has two aspects, like a coin has two aspects. So either that same thing can be used in a positive direction or can be used in the negative direction.
Yeah, he was envious of Krishna and he wanted to kill Krishna. The Prabhupada says he was a great fool, and like Hiranyakashipu also, Hiranyaksha also. So, and then there are others who don't want to kill Krishna, but who have strong desires for enjoyment in this material world. And they are also like, but they are pious, so they can be called as demigods. But they still remain in the material world. So there is strong desires for enjoyment, fruitive activities in this material world.
That is also called envy, where we are not attributing Krishna as a supreme enjoyer, but want to use his property for our enjoyment.
Yes. Although directly you cannot say, but there is like envy in the heart. So that's why they remain in a high position in the material world because they are devotees, and so that is also okay. So the next thing, who's next? Preeti, want to read? Or,
I can read. I can read too. Shalva thus attacked the city of Dwarka from the sky, and he also surrounded the city with a large number of infantry. The soldiers on the surface attacked the beautiful spots of the city. They began to destroy the nice parks, the city gates, the palaces, and skyscraper houses, the high walls around the city, and the beautiful spots where people would gather for recreation. While the soldiers attacked on the surface, the airplane began to drop big slabs of stone, tree trunks, thunderbolts, poisonous snakes, and many other dangerous things. Shalva also managed to create such a strong whirlwind within the city that all of Dwarka became dark because of the dust that covered the sky. The airplane occupied by Shalva put the entire city of Dwarka into distress equal to that caused on the earth long, long ago by the disturbing activities of Tripurasura. The inhabitants of Dwarkapuri became so harassed that they were not peaceful for even a moment. The great heroes of Dwarka city, headed by commanders such as Pradyumna, counterattacked the soldiers and airplane of Shalva. When he saw the extreme distress of the citizen, Pradyumna immediately arranged his soldier and personally got up on a chariot, encouraging the citizen by assuring safety. Following his command, many warriors like Satyaki, Charudashen, and Samba, all young brothers of Pradyumna, as well as Akrura, Kritvarma, Bhanuvinda, Gada, Sukha, and Sarana, all came out of the city to fight with Shalva. All of them were Maharathis, great warriors able to fight with thousands of men. All were fully equipped with necessary weapons and assisted by hundreds and thousands of charioteers, elephants, horses, and infantry soldiers. Yet the fighting began between the two parties, exactly like that formerly carried on between the demigods and the demons. The fighting was severe, and whoever observed the fierce nature of the fight felt his bodily hairs stand on end. Pradyumna immediately counteracted the mystic demonstration occasioned by the airplane of Shalva, the king of Shobh. By the mystic power of airplane, Shalva had created a darkness as dense as night, but Pradyumna all of a sudden appeared like the rising sun. As with rising of the sun, the darkness of night is immediately dissipated. With the appearance of Pradyumna, the power exhibited by Shalva became null and void. Each of Pradyumna's arrow had a golden feather at the end, and the shaft was fitted with a sharp iron head. By releasing 25 such arrows, Pradyumna severely injured Shalva's commander in chief. He then released another 100 arrows towards the body of Shalva. After this, he pierced each and every soldier by releasing one arrow. He killed the chariot driver by firing 10 arrows at each one of them, and he killed the carrier like the horses and elephants by releasing 3 arrows directed towards each one. When everyone present on the battlefield saw this wonderful feat of the Pradyumnas, the great fighters on both sides praised his acts of chivalry. It sounds like that Pradyumna knows the mystic power as well. Right? I don't know if it's true or not, but I have seen in the Bharat, I guess, TV, that when Pradyumna was like, go to the fish home, and the fisherman and his wife got them, and the what was Mayavati something. She was expert in mystic power, and she teaches him give him all the mystic power. So Pradyumna also had mysticism learned from her. I think so. This is a difference between a demonic nature and divine, because the demons consider everyone as their. I mean, if something is not according to their wish, they consider them as their enemy and friends. I think Prahlad Maharaj also instructed to his father that Hiranyakashipu that give up this mentality, demonic mentality, and do not discriminate between the enemies and friends. But those who are realized souls, they see everyone equal. Like that's why they are Jat Shatru. They don't consider anyone as an enemy. So,
Okay. It's not a long chapter. We can finish this.
I can continue. But still, the airplane occupied by Shalva was very mysterious. It was so extraordinary that sometimes many airplanes would appear to be in the sky, and sometimes there were apparently none. Sometimes the plane was visible and sometimes not visible, and the warriors of the Yadu dynasty were puzzled about the whereabouts of the peculiar airplane. Sometimes they would see the airplane on the ground, sometimes flying in the sky, sometimes resting on the peak of a hill, and sometimes floating on the water. The wonderful airplane flew in the sky like a whirling firebrand. It was not steady even for a moment. But despite the mysterious maneuvering of the airplane, the commanders and the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty would immediately rush towards Shalva wherever he was present with his airplane and soldiers. The arrows released by the dynasty of the Yadus were as brilliant as the sun and as dangerous as the tongues of the serpents. Hmm. All the soldiers fighting on behalf of Shalva soon became distressed by the incessant release of the arrows upon them by the heroes of the Yadu dynasty, and Shalva himself became unconscious from the attack of these arrows. The soldiers fighting on behalf of Shalva were also very strong, and the release of the arrows also harassed the heroes of the Yadu dynasty. But still, the Yadus were so strong and determined that they did not move from their strategic positions. The heroes of the Yadu dynasty were determined either to die on the battlefield or to gain victory. They were confident that if they died in the fighting, they would attain a heavenly planet, and if they came out of victorious, they would enjoy the world. The name of Shalva's commander in chief was Dyuman. He was very powerful, and although bitten by 25 of Pradyumna's arrows, he suddenly attacked Pradyumna with his fierce club and struck him so strongly that Pradyumna became unconscious. Immediately there was a roaring, "Now he is dead! Now he is dead!" The force of the club on Pradyumna's chest was very severe, and it appeared as though his chest had been torn asunder. Pradyumna's chariot was being driven by the son of Daruk. According to Vedic military principles, the chariot driver and the hero on the chariot must cooperate during the fighting. As such, because it was a duty of the chariot driver to take care of the hero on the chariot during the dangerous and precarious fighting, Daruka's son removed Pradyumna from the battlefield. 2 hours later, in a quiet place, Pradyumna regained consciousness, and when he saw that he was in a place other than the battlefield, he addressed the charioteer and condemned him. Yeah. So both the parties are fighting fiercely, and Pradyumna is now attacked, was unconscious. So we can see that even Krishna's kingdom, right, Dwarka, which is so protected, and Krishna's child, um, they also, being attacked by the enemy. So is the condition in the material world. Nobody is safe.
It reminds me of Lakshman also. How he
You
became
can also, I think you can also see there is a futile attempt of. I mean, it's like a joke that when someone can attack on the Lord's palace or city. I mean, I don't know if somehow they know it or not that we don't going to win this thing in Krishna. That's why I think Krishna always covered himself. He not revealed his uh, true nature. He revealed his true nature to the devotees, right?
Okay, so we can carry on. It's only like 2 more paragraphs. We'll be done with this. So Pradyumna is becoming very angry now. Why he has done this kind of thing? Taken him because Daruk is the charioteer of Krishna. Daruk's son is Pradyumna's chariot driver. So Pradyumna is who is the grandson, right? Or
Was he son of Rukmini?
son of Rukmini. Right. Pradyumna is the son of Rukmini.
And of Rukmini, yeah.
The son of the charioteer is serving the son of Krishna. So that's still interesting. Yeah, Pradyumna. Samba Pradyumna. Aniruddha is the grandson, right?
Yeah, he was the one that was stolen by a demon at birth and then went into the
Yeah.
body of the fish. He was very beautiful. He is Kamdev in the previous life, who was burned to ashes.
That's right. Lord Shiva.
Okay, so we can continue this last. There was also Anirudh and Usha, right? That's Anirudh. And Aniruddha was kidnapped by this. We read about this
Yeah,
Banasur.
Ursha. Yeah,
Yeah, the two.
he's a
Usha's
grandson, right? Anirudh is a grandson.
grandson. Anirudh, yeah. Usha's some friend had the some mystic ability, right? She could come and
Yeah,
what
Yes.
Usha's friend.
her name is given? Forgot. Anyway.
I think her name was Chandravali.
Yeah. Um,
Do you want me to read or
Yeah, we can
continue?
finish
I
this.
can't hear you.
Yeah, we can finish this
Okay.
chapter.
Or you have. Okay. Or you have done the most abominable act. Why have you removed me from the battlefield? My dear charioteer, I have never heard that any of our family members was ever removed from the battlefield. None of them left the battlefield while fighting. By this removal, you have overburdened me with a great defamation. It will be said that I left the battlefield while fighting was going on. My dear charioteer, I must accuse you. You are a coward and emasculator. Tell me, how can I go before my uncle Balram and my father Krishna? And what shall I say before them? Everyone will talk about me and say that I fled from the fighting place. And if I inquire from me about this, what will be my reply? My sisters in law will pay jokes upon me with sarcastic words. My dear hero, how have you become such a coward? How have you become a inuch? How have you become so low in the eyes of fighters who opposed you? I think, my dear charioteer, that you have committed a great offense by removing me from the battlefield. The charioteer of Pradyumna replied, my dear sir, I wish I wish a long life for you. I think that I did nothing wrong, for it is the duty of the charioteer to help the fighter in the chariot when he is in a precarious condition. My dear sir, you are completely competent in the battlefield, but it is the duty of the charioteer and the warrior to protect each other in a precarious condition. I was completely aware of the regulative principle of fighting and I did my duty. The enemy all of a sudden struck you with his club so severely that you lost consciousness. You were in dangerous position, surrounded by your enemies. Therefore, I was obliged to act as I did. Yeah, that's what Krishna tell to Arjuna also, right, in Bhagavad Gita, that you have to must fight. You are a Kshatriya. You cannot fled or you cannot go without executing your duty. But here it's different. Like it's like he's considering that it's like a defamation. But yeah, I have heard that this is a duty of a charioteer. If your master get injured, so you have to take him out from the battlefield.
Yes. Okay, so he is saying you did a wrong thing, and he's saying, no, I did the right thing. So, okay, so we will continue with deliverance. Did I bookmark it already? Okay, so Shalva will be killed now in the next chapter. He will be delivered. Then Dantavakra, Viduratha, and Romarsha. Now Krishna is fulfilling all his mission of killing all the demons for which he has come. Okay. Narad Muni came, right, and he reminded Krishna that you are in Vraj, you are enjoying here, but you are supposed to come and deliver all the. That is the reason why you have come, because the demigods, headed by Brahma, they prayed for this thing only. And Vishnu said, I will come. When they prayed on the Shira Sagar, Vishnu said. So now Krishna, Narad Muni came and Krishna was in Vraj. He was enjoying. So he had to leave Vraj. Of course, he never left Vraj, but he left Vraj also in that way. Okay, so let's see. We can read this book. One chapter. Which page we are on?
Can I sing one song?
Yeah.
I want to sing the Gopinath. I will take today the first one, but we can do the other ones later. Okay. गोपीनाथ मम निवेदन शुनो विषयी दुर्जना सदा कमराता किछु नहीं मोरा गुना गोपीनाथ आमारा भरोसा तुमी तुम्हारा चरण लयनो शरण तुम्हारा किंकरामी गोपीनाथ गोपीनाथ के मने शोधिबे मोरे ना जानी भक्ति कर्मे जड़मती पड़ी छे संसारा घोरे गोपीनाथ सकली तुम्हारा माया नाही मामा बाला ज्ञान सुनिर्मला स्वाधीन नाही एकाया गोपीनाथ नियत चरण स्थाना मागिए पमारा कांदिया कांदिया करो हे करुणा दाना गोपीनाथ गोपीनाथ তুমি তো সকলি পারো দুর্জনে তারিতে তোমার শক্তি কে আছে পাপীর আরো গোপীনাথ তুমি কৃপা পারবারা জীবেরা কারণে আসিয়া প্রপঞ্চে লীলা কইল সুবিস্তারা গোপীনাথ আমি কি দোষে দোষী असुर सकल पायल चरण विनोद ठाकिल बोशी गोपीनाथ गोपीनाथ. So translation. O Gopinath, O Lord of the Gopis, please hear my request. I am a wicked materialist, always addicted to worldly desires, and I have no good qualities. And no good qualities do I possess. O Gopinath, you are my only hope, and therefore I have taken shelter at your lotus feet. I am now your eternal servant. O Gopinath, how will you purify me? I do not know what devotion is, and my materialistic mind is absorbed in fruitive work. I have fallen into this dark and perilous worldly existence. O Gopinath, everything here is your illusory energy. I have no strength or transcendental knowledge, and this body of mine is not independent and free from the control of material nature. O Gopinath, this sinner who is weeping and weeping begs for an eternal place at your divine feet. Please give him your mercy. O Gopinath, you are able to do anything, and therefore you have the power to deliver all sinners. Who is there that is more of a sinner than myself? O Gopinath, you are the ocean of mercy. Having come into this phenomenal world, you expand your divine pastimes for the sake of the fallen souls. O Gopinath, I am so sinful that although all the demons attained your lotus feet, Bhaktivinoda has remained in worldly existence. So, as we were discussing with Kalakantha Prabhu, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is an elevated devotee. However, for elevated devotees also, mind gives them a lot of thoughts, and they're disturbed by why is my mind troubling me this way, but they don't act upon those thoughts, but they understand that or a conditioned soul also. They are speaking on behalf of a conditioned soul, and this should be our mood while we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra, that I have done so many mistakes. Always my mind is engaged in sense gratification. I am not able to think about you, Krishna. I'm a materialist. I have so many material desires and I have no good qualities. But still, Krishna, you are so kind that you try so many different ways in many, many lifetimes to bring me back to your lotus feet. And as I was reading this affirmation by Mahatma Das Prabhu today, that I get to chant, I love to chant, and I want to chant, at the back of this affirmation, he's saying that this chanting is a very special and rare blessing. And you are so fortunate to have this Maha Mantra in your life. Imagine what your life would be if you didn't have this Mahamantra. In our purified state, this Mahamantra will become the most attractive sound to our ears and hearts. That it become the most attractive sound our ears and hearts have ever heard, and we will love to chant constantly. So, but we are not in this state because we are attracted to so many things of this world. But in our pure state, we will be attracted to chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and only thinking about Krishna, who's a perfect person. Oh, he has all the things that we are looking for. So my only hope is that you accept me in your shelter, Krishna. You are an ocean of mercy, and Krishna comes to this material world to enact his pastimes, this Ashiya Prapanche. So he can, so he tells us, he gives us a glimpse of what is going on in the spiritual world, that we will be so joyful in the spiritual world with Krishna. But still, even after hearing so much, also, I think Maya is so strong. This illusory Maya is so strong that we think that I'm better off here. So I have no devotion. I'm not a devotee. I have no good qualities. Fallen in this dark world, perilous world. No, I have no strength. Means by myself I cannot do it. Krishna, I need your mercy. By my strength I cannot overcome this Maya and these desires that I have. I need your mercy. You please attract me towards you. I'm a big sinner, and I'm looking at my condition. I'm crying, and you have delivered all those big sinners like a Jamil and Jagai and Madai, but I'm more sinner. Like I'm a bigger sinner than them, and so all the demons have attained your lotus feet. Only I have remained. So please deliver me also. I'm begging you. So I'm begging for your mercy. Give me attraction towards you and taste for your holy name. So yeah, that's how we can chant. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody has anything to say on this song? It's a nice song. We can identify with this and pray to Krishna. So I think he sings in a different tune also. Right? There's another tune for this, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Tune is not the thing. But this is Vayasaki Prabhu. I think the one tune you're saying.
Yeah,
Swarnavali.
this is the tune that Kalakanta Prabhu hai. But yeah, there is another tune.
Mama Nivedana
Shunu
Shuno.
Shai Durjana. No.
Mama Nivedana Shuno. Vishai Durjana Sadamara.
मुझे से नहीं मारा गुनाह.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else anybody like to say on this song?
Yeah, humility takes us closer to Krishna. If we think we are better than others, that pride takes us away from Krishna. And sometimes we understand our fallen condition and we can use it to get closer to Krishna. So it can help us.
Yeah, so even Prahlad.
Rabindranath Tagore's another song. there's another song, right? Amar Jeevan Sada Pate Rahe. In that song also he was talking about the same, right? I'm a very impious sinner, and now I'm in the last paragraph. He was saying that I'm deprived of all success and I'm humbled, and now I'm in old age and I'm taking shelter of your lotus feet. Although they are like, of course, they are exalted, pure devotees, but in humility they are praying like that.
Yeah, like Prahlad Maharaj says, right? He says this verse. What does it say here? How is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of asuras, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even until now, all demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all saintly persons could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words, although such persons are very qualified. Being in the mode of goodness, then what is to be said of me? I am not at all qualified. So
Hmm.
he's
If somebody remembers, so in this case, Prahlad Maharaj, he got a causeless mercy. As we know, in his previous life, he was a person who was associating with a prostitute, and like somehow they did a fasting on Nrsimha Chaturdashi in a place where there was a Nrsimha temple. Then they would experience such gratefulness towards Krishna, right?
yes,
Same as Ajamil's when he's speaking those prayers that I was not qualified, I was doing so many sins. How come I got this mercy and this association of Vishnu Dutas and understood the glories of the holy name?
yeah. Here also Prabhupada says a Vaishnava who is fully qualified to serve the Lord still thinks himself extremely low while offering prayers to the Lord. So, so Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami also says like that. So this is the theme, and Prabhupada says, yeah, Trinada Krishna. One should not be falsely proud of his Vaishnava qualifications.
Mhm. Because if we are proud, the mercy can be lost easily because it has been gotten through mercy
Hmm.
and it can be lost also.
Yeah, that is the
It's
thing.
like 99% of it is mercy.
Yeah, that is why we should not think that I have done this, I have done that.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
That's kind of thing.
Yeah. Mhm. Like some taste in chanting the holy name, right? Some get it and some endeavor, but they're not getting it because they might be committing offenses. Yeah. So,
And whenever we think we have done something, we should think how much Prabhupada has done. Our thing is nothing compared to what Srila Prabhupada. Then we will be also sober. Right?
but if we can't even move one finger of our hand if it was not Krishna's sanction. He
Correct.
is the one giving us ability to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes people who don't believe in God, they also. I mean, I'm just saying from their point of view, they think I am doing it, I am doing that.
yeah.
So, like,
Yeah. Prakriti kriya guna karman. Ahankara vimudhatma. Yeah, that's most of the people. But then they make mistakes. In being proud, they do sinful activities, and that's their fall down.
yeah, and the nobody can do anything if atheist also. I mean, if they want to write something, I mean, the intelligence against God also. So that intelligence also you cannot remember anything. Like the ability to learn a language is also. I mean, it's very mystical, right? How we learn languages and how there are so many words and what we think we are able to translate and speak into words. How all this ability is coming. It's very mystical.
Yeah.
We take it for granted that we can speak whatever we are thinking. So and the
Mhm.
words are coming, and like this, all these things are.
And in a moment, the ability can be taken away, as we were hearing yesterday. I mean, somebody got a disease like suddenly, right? And they impacted their walking ability. So, So like that, anything can happen in our mind. There can be a stroke, and then we lose memory of everything.
Yeah. So while we have it, we should be grateful to Krishna that we
A
have it.
devotee's decision to say yes and no to other devotees, it's governed by Krishna's will. Like Krishna's so desire it'll happen, Krishna so desire it'll not happen.
No, we have our free will also. So if Prabhupada is saying you should chant the holy name, then we agree. Yes, Krishna, I will chant the holy name. So yesterday also this point was brought up that Krishna is everything but our love and our because he doesn't want to force us. So he has everything, but he doesn't have our free will to surrender. I mean, he cannot force us. So, so
Mhm.
that is what we have, and that's why we praise the devotees, those who have surrendered, because they have used their free will to surrender to Krishna. So we glorify the devotees. So otherwise, yeah, we do wrong things and we say, "Oh, Krishna made me do the wrong thing." That's not our philosophy. That Krishna made me do the wrong thing. Uh, then I'm not responsible for anything. I'm hands off, right, with anything. So we have the choice to surrender to Krishna or not surrender to Krishna. That's the choice every jiva has.
So even in Dham, the difficulties we face, even in Dham, like Braj Dham, that is also like governed by Krishna or it's governed by free will.
So by our past karma is also there. Our past karma is also there, and then Krishna has to deal with everybody fairly. So he's giving the reactions of our past karma. But if we are trying to be a devotee, then Krishna takes all our karma and then he gives us little whatever he thinks is necessary for our purification. He'll
We
give.
have past karma in the Dham as well.
Yeah, I mean, until you're a pure devotee, just going in the dham doesn't make you a pure devotee, right?
Actually,
Just
dham, if you do an offense in the dham, you get a multiplied effect. And if you do some good bhajan in the dham, you get a multiplied effect. So you have to be very careful in the dham, offending the because all of them are dham vasis, rajvasis. So that's what I've heard.
Dham is not out of three gunas.
dham is out of, but we just going in dham doesn't make us out of three gunas. Dham is like that, but uh, our just going to the dham doesn't make us like that because you can do so many things in the dham, and so we have to change our consciousness by hearing from the sadhus who are in the dham, and in this ways.
So even those who are born and brought up there, even they're affected by the three
Huh,
gunas.
they can be also affected. Prabhupada says that's how there is so many hogs and dogs in the dham because they stay in the dham and they commit sinful activities. Then they get the body of a hog or dog in the dham. Of course, we should not think like that. That we should think that they are all special people or special living entities who are in the dham. But he says like that in a lecture. So it doesn't mean like just automatically being in the dham. You can also there are so many things there. I heard Bollywood songs also in the dham. Some places they were playing Bollywood songs, right? Did you hear that?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
So you can be in the dham and you can be in Bombay,
Okay.
hearing of yeah of all
Yeah,
these
I
things.
think it's your consciousness that makes the dham. If you are in material consciousness, you are not in the dham. If you are in America and you are in Vrindavan consciousness, then you are in the dham.
But Brajvasi as well are like in money consciousness when they're born and brought up in the Dham. So they come under the influence of Maya and three modes as well.
Yeah, anybody can come in this.
Even though they
It's
want to make money and they want to make so many buildings and homes and apartments and other restaurants.
yeah. So they're not taking advantage of the dham. They want to do business in the dham. But we should not like we don't want to speak about others. But you can go into dham also for some whatever There are many things that you can have. Instead of taking the mercy of the dham and like chanting the holy name and hearing from sadhus, they are thinking about how I can increase my profit. the whole consciousness is focused on, which is not good because everybody has to earn a living. I'm not saying that, but they are more interested in that than sitting down in a Bhagavatam class and hearing about Krishna. So, so anybody can be like, and you can be living in America, and you can be thinking of Krishna. So it doesn't matter where you are. Of course, Dham, I'm not minimizing the importance of Dham or anything like that. It has special potency also. But we have to meet the sadhus there. That's the main thing. We have to have the association of. So we should go to the ISKCON temple. There is everyday Bhagavatam class.
Prabhupada says in his lectures 99.9% the population is Naradam. So
Yeah.
how do
So
does that include like the sadhus as well, or
not the sadhus, but sadhus are how much number compared to the whole population? 8 billion. How many sadhus? Only very few sadhus, right? So it is very minute.
And the words, the sadhu is not designated by the dress. There's so many sadhus there we see, right, in Vrindavan. And they are asking for, give me this, give me that. They're not sadhus. Sadhus, they should be knowing the scriptures, and sadhu does not want anything from anyone. They're not beggars.
so when we go to Radha Kund and Radha Kund Pandas ask us to do puja in Radha Kund and ask us for money and then gets really angry and asks us
I
for
think
more
we should not think about what they are because they are in the dham. It's like we don't want to comment.
No, we
Yeah,
can recognize these.
We should not hear from them, right? We have to distinguish of who is a sadhu that we should hear from, associate with. If somebody is materialistic and asking for money, he is not a sadhu. So we should not stay in their association. And who knows where they're going to use their money, and we were told that we should not give money because then they buy like cigarettes and alcohol and stuff. Instead, we can give them prasad. We can buy prasad, and like we were giving them atta and dal and chini, right?
So wait,
Instead of
if
giving
if
them
we if do we consider them not a sadhu if they're asking money for the puja in the Radha Kund?
money for the puja. Well,
I think we don't want to comment on anybody like that who is
Okay,
sadhu.
okay.
Yeah, we don't want to like.
yeah,
think
but
about-
we have to be careful in the sense we want to understand who should we associate from, as
Yeah,
you
how
said.
do we
When we
recognize
go to
them?
the
Because when
dham,
we go there, how do we
Yeah.
recognize them? Because when they're asking us for money and we are giving them money for the puja and they're not satisfied with that amount and they're fighting with us. And when we say no to them that it's okay, I'll skip, I don't want to do puja, I'm going to walk away, and then they're arguing for that,
Mhm.
So how do we
Yeah.
recognize so we don't come into that situation?
Yeah. So, there are ISKCON devotees also that do puja, or you can do your own puja. But somebody who's after your money and arguing with you that you have not given, then he's not Krishna will not hear his prayers, right? If he's not a pure devotee. So, I think we should stay away from such sadhus. Such people who are dressed in the dress of the sadhus.
Yeah, but they're Brajvasi, born and brought up there.
Yeah, but that doesn't qualify them as devotees. Whoever is born in Vrindavan is not a devotee. Devotees by their activities, by their nature, behavior.
One instruction Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave also, right? To Jagadananda Pandit, something like that. When you go to, what did he say?
Don't associate
Yeah.
with Brajvasis too much, because you will not understand their mood.
Yeah. That he said also. Yeah. And of course, there we don't. We have our temple.
Yeah, you stay in the ISKCON temple and hear from ISKCON devotees in the temple, and very less associate with people outside. Because we don't want to offend them, for sure. But also, we don't want to be affected by them and think that everybody in Vrindavan are like those people who are cheating others.
Even Kadamba Kanan Swami, he was shot in Vrindavan only. You know that Kadamba Kanan Swami
Hmm.
who passed away. There was some quarrel about some mafia and something like that. He was shot in Vrindavan.
Hmm.
So
Oh. Yeah, there's so many groups I've heard that, you know, kidnapping females and um, yeah, I've heard from some others. So there are all sorts of sinful people also in the dham. We have to be careful.
like here he says about his Kadamba Kanan Swami. You mentioned the shooting incident. I'm curious to know how this specific experience. Uh, it was not just a freak incident. There were people who were trying to get rid of me, and that was what really was going on. And I sort of thought, what is it wrong with me that people want to get rid of me? Why is that? What did I do? I started thinking about that. Of course, whoever resorted to means of shooting. So for a long time, I had been the leader of our temple in Vrindavan. I was in charge for a long time. So he was the president a long time. Everyone who needed to buy something had to come through me, and I had got used to it. And I had all the strings, and I had gotten used to it. I tried to be reasonable. I thought that was how it should I should be. So everything, the money they have to spend, they had to go through Kadam Kanan Maharaj. And he thought, yeah, this is. So I tried to be kind of what I thought is reasonable. But what is your criteria for what is reasonable? It is not so easy to determine. So I attempted to be reasonable with everyone because I was controlling so many facilities. People would come all day and ask, can I use this? Can I have that? Can I do this? And I had to decide. So I tried to be reasonable, but it was by my criteria, and maybe it was not always reasonable to others, and people were left dissatisfied. And I could see that I needed to change. I had to stop the impersonal attitude and become more personal and more sensitive to people. You cannot just leave someone completely dissatisfied to the point where it just begins to fester and like ferment inside. I could see that I had to change and become more sensitive and try to satisfy everyone. So I changed, something changed. I'm more conscious of it and trying to be more conscious of it. So even when someone wants something crazy, I try to deal with it in a personal way. Whereas before I would have just said no. At the same time, it forced me to be humble for a while. I got reduced by the whole experience. I lost my power, lost all power. I could barely lift my arm for 2 years before I could function. So I was reduced, thrown back on myself, and it also gave me some time to sort of look more at what was inside. Was life so much about all external achievements? Your identity becomes so mixed with your achievements. I had done all these things, therefore I had control of all this and that. Then I had nothing left, no money, no car, no energy, and just reduced. I've always been someone with lots of energy in whatever I do. So, in whatever I do, I just throw all my energy at it. So, if you take everything away, no problem. Just with my energy, I'll be back. So, I am that kind of person, a high energy person. But at that time, even my high energy was gone. I had nothing except what was inside. That was all. Well, somebody didn't like that he was so I was forced to have a real good look at what was inside, the love I had inside, and I realized that it was not that much. It was less than I thought I had. I did not have that much. So it forced me to deeply reflect, which was beneficial. I would not be here and I would not be doing what I'm doing now if that incident did not happen. Now I try to live a life not for myself but for other people and give as much as I can. And I do not think I would have been able to do that in the same spirit as I'm doing it now without having gone through that experience. So he took it as a learning lesson. Anyway, a very serious aspect, a very serious topic.
So somebody from ISKCON Vrindavan shot him
I don't know who this doesn't say who.
because he's saying that he was responsible for the temple in Vrindavan. Is he talking about the Krishna Balram temple?
Yeah, yeah, correct. He was controlling many aspects, and people did not. Sometimes people don't like, right, that you are denying their request or whatever it is he wants, and um, so maybe it's kind of seems like that somebody got. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's also
That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said not to associate with Brajvasi. That article, can someone send that on the post?
mm.
Save it. Can I save it? Can I have it?
He
I
said,
can't
yeah,
find it.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Jagadananda visit to Vrindavan. Okay, so okay. So we can read this book. Almost now 10 minutes.
Yes. We are on page 167.
Okay.
I can read.
Yeah.
Mr. Bhattar, give or take, sitting and standing, about 10,000 persons. So we are talking about this Pandal program they're setting up in the Bombay. Um, Sham Sundar is the main person said helping with that, and then there are so many other devotees engaged. So there were about 10,000 persons who came. Sham Sundar, perfect, but it's March. Summer season has started and it's getting hot. It's already in the 90s out here. How do we keep such a big tent cool? Mr. Bhatta, you will need fans, ceiling fans for the audience, portable fans on stage, and openings in the tents for air circulation. Shamsundar, the main thing is the stage. Prabhupada wants it to be very big, maybe about 60 feet long and 30 feet wide, with plenty of room for kirtan and with a temple for the deities, maybe just here. Mr. Bhatta, and what about rugs? You will need rugs. I have many kinds of rugs. Shamsundar, okay, rugs everywhere. And what do you think? Do we need chairs? No, the audience will sit on the ground on rugs. You may have a few chairs for VIPs near the front of the stage. Shyamsundar. Okay, and on one side we'll build book tables and life membership table. Mr. Butter. Yes, we have many tables for you and we can erect some small stalls. Shyamsundar. What do you think, Tamal? Maybe we can put up some stalls and rent them out to like incense sellers or for snack shops to make some extra cash. Tamal Krishna. Good idea, but we'd better ask Prabhupada first. And another thing, where are we going to cook? Shamsundar, oh yeah, forgot about that. We'd better move the main tent forward, build a cook shed in the back, add another 50 feet, make it 300 by 250 feet. That still gives us a big courtyard out front to put out some displays about ISKCON around the world. And Prabhupada likes those dioramas. And so the Cross Maiden festival took shape. There were not yet many restrictions in Bombay regarding commercial advertising. Shamsundar remembered. So we had a crew of men painting signs on canvas and wood, 80-foot banners to stretch over major intersections, smaller signs for lampposts along every major road in town. So devotees are doing advertisement of this event that is going to happen. Indian sign makers are very skilled and cheap. Red and blue letters on a white backdrop was our motive. Driving around, we'd say, oh, look, there is an empty spot. You can see that from 100 yards coming and going. And we'd plaster yet another part of the town with Hare Krishna, Cross Maiden, or Bhaktivedanta Swami, Bhagavad Dharma discourses, or Prabhupada is coming, or Save Your Life Now. American style splashy, and we could feel Bombay beginning to buzz. One tall, enthusiastic Parsi boy named Noza Macharji began to spend time with us at Akash Ganga and lent a hand at the pandal. When Noza, who later initiated as Muhammad Das, saw us running around putting up signs, he told us that his cousins owned an advertising company called Selwell. Noza convinced his relatives to donate more than 30 major billboard sites around the city. Now we had huge hoardings, 50 to 70 feet long and 20 or 30 feet high, mounted at the best locations in trucking business. So we posted big signs that read Prabhupada and his Western sadhus on the sides of his truck. Another life member owned a 12-story skyscraper on Mahatma Gandhi Road, just a few blocks from Cross Maiden. So, with his encouragement, we hired the Selwell company to paint Hare Krishna in 10-foot descending letters down a windowless side of the building. You could see it for miles. I think that's the picture that we saw in these pictures that were there. Sham Sundar had directed me to raise funds for the pandal, but following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, I'd really had it in my mind to start writing. So Agilraj Maharaj is saying he was supposed to raise funds. I had my sheets of paper and pencils all ready, so I said, Srila Prabhupada told me I should write. You can write any time, Shamsundar replied, but this is the one time we can walk into the office of any big man in Bombay and ask for money. You should do it. What he said made sense, so I agreed. Prabhupada came a few weeks later and moved into Akash Ganga high-rise apartment building in an affluent part of central Bombay, where we had rented two adjoining flats. His quarters were on the west side of the seventh floor, facing the sea and next to the temple room. He had a small balcony and would often sit out there gazing at the ocean and chanting Japa. In the mornings, he would walk in the hanging gardens on the prestigious Malabar Hill, where many prominent men would take their walks, and everyone, industrialists, officials, government leaders, would approach him to offer their greetings and respect and touch his feet. Okay, Prabhuji would like to read.
When Prabhupada arrived, we all sat down in his room and he led a short kirtan. He was radiant, beaming, and smiled at us all. Then he said, So, Giriraj, how is your writing going? I was flustered, taken by surprise. Well, Srila Prabhupada, I replied, I haven't done any writing. Oh, you haven't done any writing? He asked, Why not? I didn't know what to say. All right, he said, we'll speak later. After we had all left the room, I went back in. So you're not writing? Prabhupada asked. I explained what happened and said, I considered that you wanted us to work cooperatively and I thought what Shyam Sundar said made sense. So I agreed to do what he asked. Did I do the right thing? Yes, that was all. That is all right, Prabhupada said. One may temporarily suspend the order of the spiritual master, but one should never neglect it. Just like my Guru Maharaj gave me the order to write, but I am so busy traveling and preaching in India now, I have no time to write. But I am always thinking of his order, and when the opportunity arises, I will take it up. Prabhupada was so understanding and practical, and he had confirmed that I had done the right thing. I felt relieved and satisfied. So I went out and collected for the pandal, selling advertising space in the souvenir book. So this is like he's collecting funds for the pandal program. So souvenir book for rupees 1000 for a full page. Now in those times rupees 1000 was a big amount. Rupees 500 for half a page and rupees 300 for a quarter page. The front and back covers were rupees 5000 each. Everyone who donates gets a free copy. I told business owners, and all of your friends are doing it. Let them see your name in there too. So he would go to somebody and say, Oh, your friend also has done it. You should also put your name. The advertisers mainly sent friendly notices like best wishes for Hare Krishna festival, Century Rayon Industry House, 159 Church Gate, Reclamation Bombay 2. So this is one of the typical advertisement. Best wishes for Hare Krishna festival. All the funds went towards the event, and over the next couple weeks, I had collected enough to finance the entire pandal. Rishi Kumar, in charge of our finances, was quite tight with the money, a quality which Prabhupada considered good for treasurer. Sometimes he would just put a sign on his office door, closed for 3 days. So Rishi Kumar was the treasurer kind of, and he did not want to part with money so easily. The festival's momentum kept growing, and on the evening of March 17, a week before the opening, we hosted our life members and their families at Akash Ganga. The place was packed. Srila Prabhupada thanked our guests for their help with their festival and then urged them to consider the nature of the material condition. Just like in Bombay city, everyone is working hard, very hard. Their mission is how I shall be able to construct a skyscraper building. That's all. Why they are working so hard? 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. Then everything finished. Your skyscraper building, your nice wife, your apartment, your friends, everything that you have made, and you do not know where you are going. In the last few days, we took our splashy quarter and half page newspaper ads and posted 200 more signs on city buses and commuter trains, and we put a billboard at Victoria train station, the busiest intersection of downtown Bombay. So everybody, a lot of advertisement for the Pandal program. By then, all the billboard needed was two words in huge letters: Hare Krishna. That was enough. Finally, Sham Sundar attached a giant balloon to the site by a long rope with a streamer announcing from high over the city, Hare Krishna Festival, Cross Maidan. On the festival eve, Prabhupada held a press conference at Akash Ganga, and the next morning, the first day of the Pandal, all the newspapers announced Hare Krishna Festival in city. The whole city was alive with excitement. Everyone in Bombay knew about the event, entitled Bhagavad Dharma Discourses, a Hare Krishna festival featuring world preacher of Bhakti cult, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. On March 25, the Pandal's opening, people poured into Cross Maidan by tens of thousands. So 10,000, 20,000 people like coming. A half mile, 10-foot fence of dark blue cloth surround all the perimeter, topped by thousands of flashing colored lights. Potted palms and flowering plants dotted the grounds, and outside the front entrance, in a tall columned gazebo, a decorative fountain sprayed water into the air. People entered through 323-foot wide arched portals that we rented from a Bollywood movie set, and welcome signs flanked the main entrance, across which spread two banners, one in Hindi and one in English. So this is all the banner and the International Society. So it's 9 o'clock. Stop with this.
I mean, just like, I mean, when we have events, we have, we are doing advertising, send, giving out flyers, and we also hold, we invite our sponsors and our donors. It's like the same thing we are doing for our new temple that Prabhupada was doing at that time, preaching.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that that conversation between uh, is Shri Radha, is there? Yeah. Shri Radhe Hari Devidasi. That is in the Antya Leela 13th chapter. So I can share the verses with Jagadananda Pandit. There are some instructions here if you look at.
Thank you. Can you also copy paste and send it in this post in the group so I can copy paste it and save it? Because this is a very important instruction by him. If we know this instruction, we'll be so careful when we go there. Because they come on their own, talk with us, and if we walk away, it won't be rude or anything. Can I have this? Can you copy paste this? Thank you.
Yeah, you can click on that link. I mean, there are some.
Yeah. Yeah, I pasted it. He's saying that when you go to Mathura, you should stay with this devotee Sanatan Goswami and offer respectful obeisances to the feet of all leading men there. But do not mix freely with the residents of Mathura. Show them respect from a distance. Because you are on a different platform of devotional service, you cannot adopt their behavior and practices. And
Okay.
yeah, so let me paste the purport also to this. Residents of
Thank you. This
Vrindavan.
is great news. This is just perfect instruction. Thank you so much for sharing and reading.
Hmm, yeah.
Okay. So, thank you everyone for